Waking up in 1875, you wake up face down in the dirt. The ground is dry, cracked, and smells faintly of manure and ash. The sun is brutal overhead, already high in the sky. Your clothes are heavy, coarse wool, leather boots, and a battered hat that's definitely not yours. You sit up slowly. Around you is a ghost town of wooden buildings, horses tied up outside, and a sign swinging in the wind that reads, Deadwood, Dakota Territory. You're not dreaming. You've been dropped into 1875 America, and survival isn't guaranteed. The sounds of the West. You hear a distant whistle, a train departing, then the creak of wagon wheels, dogs barking, the clang of a blacksmith's hammer. There's no car, no electricity, and no cell phone signal. Just a raw, living town fueled by grit and suspicion. You stand, unsure where to go. A few locals glance at you, eyes narrow. You look like a drifter, and in this world, that can be dangerous. The reality of clothing and heat. You start to sweat almost immediately. The wool shirt itches, your boots pinch, and the leather belt cuts into your waist. There's no dry-fit fabric or breathable mesh here. Everything is rough and unforgiving. The dust clings to your skin. In 1875, comfort wasn't part of fashion. Survival was. Clothing meant protection from dust, animals, and the sun, not style or ease. First encounter in the saloon. You push open the swinging doors of a saloon. Your only hope for water or answers. Inside, it's dark and smoky. A piano plays lazily in the corner. Cowboys hunch over cards. A woman in a corset leans on the bar. All eyes shift to you. The music stops. You don't belong. You can feel it. You force a nod and walk to the counter, praying they'll serve you instead of shoot you. Ordering a drink and paying for it. The bartender grunts. What'll it be? You realize you don't even know what people drank back then. Whiskey? Sarsaparilla? You ask for water. He laughs. You sure? You nod. He pours from a jug into a metal cup. You try not to gag at the taste. Warm, metallic, and questionable. You pull out a modern coin. He eyes it suspiciously. Where'd you get that? Already, you've made a mistake. Understanding the currency. Your modern money won't help here. In 1875, people traded in gold, silver coins, or bartered. Paper money wasn't trusted. Many towns even minted their own. The bartender tosses your coin back. Either you're a forger or you're stupid. You try to laugh it off. He doesn't. Around you, murmurs rise. You feel your throat tighten. You're alone, and it's starting to show. Leaving the saloon in a hurry. You back out of the saloon, heart pounding. The air outside feels heavier now. You walk briskly, passing by a man sharpening a knife, a preacher yelling about sin, and a boy throwing rocks at a stray dog. This isn't just the past. It's a place with its own rules, and you don't know any of them. You need to blend in. Fast. The general store attempt. You step into a general store hoping to buy clothes, maybe food. It smells of leather, tobacco, and kerosene. Items are behind glass or locked in cabinets. You reach for a canned good, and the shopkeeper barks. You touch it, you buy it. There's no browsing, no price tags. You've never felt more out of place. You put your hands up and back away. A glimpse of violence. As you exit, a commotion starts nearby. A man is dragged by his collar from the saloon. He shouts something about cheating at cards. A punch lands, then another. He crumples to the dirt, boots kicking him as a small crowd gathers. No one intervenes. There's no lawman in sight. You realize you're not in a safe place. You're in a place where justice is decided with fists. Day one isn't even over. It's still just morning. You're exhausted, thirsty again, and clearly unwanted. You're in a world with no second chances, where you need to be armed, alert, and tough, and you're none of those things yet. This isn't a movie. This is the Wild West. And by now, even one day here is too much. Setting out into the wild. With town life proving hostile, you make a choice. Head into the wilderness. You borrow a horse and head down a trail that locals call the Devil's Back. The town fades behind you. Now it's just open land, wind, and the sound of hoofbeats. But you're not a cowboy. You've never ridden a horse. Your thighs burn. Your hands blister. You're off balance with every trot. This isn't freedom. It's punishment. Son, dust and distance. The sun climbs higher. There's no shade. The hat barely helps. Dust kicks up with every step, drying your lips and cracking your skin. You pass sagebrush, dead cattle bones, and vultures circling high above. You're sweating, but you're still dehydrating. You begin to understand why cowboys always look tired, old, and worn out, even when they were young. The search for water. Hours pass. Your canteen is empty. You scan for signs of water, a creek, a pond, even damp dirt. But this isn't your world. The signs mean nothing to you. The horse stops to sniff a muddy hole. You dismount and sip carefully. The taste is foul. You gag but swallow anyway. Clean water is a modern luxury. Out here, it's whatever won't kill you yet. The threat of heat stroke. By mid-afternoon, your vision blurs. Your head pulses with every heartbeat. You're lightheaded. The heat presses down like a weight. You slide off the horse and collapse under a scraggly bush. There's no relief, no ice, no aid station. In 1875, heat stroke doesn't come with warning signs. It comes with unconsciousness. And out here, unconscious means dead. Dangerous wildlife. As you rest, you hear a rattle, sharp, dry, and close. You freeze. A rattlesnake is coiled 3 feet away, eyes locked on you. You slowly back away. The West is crawling with predators, snakes, wolves, cougars. And your first aid kit doesn't exist. Out here, one bite can kill, and often did. Night comes fast. The sun starts dropping fast. Temperatures fall. What was 100 degrees Fahrenheit by day becomes near freezing at night. You don't have a sleeping bag, just your shirt and the dirt. Coyotes howl in the distance. The sky turns a stunning purple-black, stars popping like diamonds. It's beautiful, but beauty won't keep you warm. You shiver, trying to stay awake. Sleep is not safe. You doze for an hour. Then a noise, something nearby. Branch snapping, breath in the dark. You sit up, hand on nothing. No gun, no knife. Just your heartbeat pounding. Could be a coyote. Could be a man. Could be worse. Sleep is rare in the Wild West. Not because of noise, but because you might not wake up. Saddle sores and aches. By morning, your body aches. Your thighs are raw from riding. Your back feels broken. You have no aspirin, no water, no food. You're filthy, shaking, and tired. And you've only survived one full day. Life in the Wild West isn't a scenic trail ride. It's a war, and the battlefield is nature itself. The risk of being found. You hear voices, and it's not relief. Outlaws, bandits, or drifters might be worse than the land itself. You duck into the brush, praying they don't see your horse tracks. In the Wild West, the line between friend and threat is razor thin. Strangers might offer help, but they might strip you clean and leave you for buzzards. You're not built for this. By the time the sun is fully up, you made it back toward town. You're limping, hungry, burned, shaken, and something has changed. You no longer feel like an observer. You feel like prey. The Wild West wasn't made for people like you. Not soft, not modern. It was made to break the weak, and you're starting to break. Violence, outlaws, and the illusion of law. The first gunshot. As you re-enter town, a loud crack echoes across the street. Someone screams. A man stumbles out of the saloon, clutching his side, blood soaking through his vest. Another man storms out after him, pistol still smoking. No one runs. No one screams. It's as if this is normal, because here, it is. Where's the law? You look around. There's no sheriff in sight. Nobody. No jailose. The man who fired the gun holsters it and walks off like nothing happened. Nobody dares stop him. In the Wild West, justice is decided by who shoots first and who lives to tell the story. Town justice doesn't exist. Later, a woman screams. You see 2 men dragging someone through the street. Thief, they yell. There's no trial, no judge. They tie him to a post, and people begin throwing rotten food, rocks, boots. This is justice. Mob rule. And if you're on the wrong side of it, you won't make it to sunrise. Barroom rules. You return to the saloon for shelter. Inside, 2 men argue over a card game. Accusations fly. Cheating, lying, stealing. One slams his fist. Another flips the table. Within seconds, fists are flying. A bottle shatters. No one calls for help. The bartender just ducks. In here, fights are expected. It's not if, it's when. Women weren't safe either. You notice the women in town? Overworked, overlooked, and overexposed. Many are barmaids or brothel workers. Few have choices. Some carry hidden knives. They don't flirt. They survive. If a man touches without consent, it could end in blood. Women weren't safe, and they weren't powerless either. Outlaws run the roads. You hear of a gang nearby, the Red River Boys. They rob stagecoaches, shoot sheriffs, and burn barns. They're not movie villains. They're real, hungry, and ruthless. Outlaws weren't rebels. They were often desperate, brutal, and bored. And their favorite target? Travelers who didn't know better. Like you, lawmen weren't heroes. You finally meet the town sheriff. He's drunk, half asleep in a rocking chair outside his office. His badge hangs sideways. He hasn't cleaned his gun in weeks. Some sheriffs were brave. Others were cowards, or worse. Hired guns working for the highest bidder. Law wasn't justice. It was business. When a stranger arrives. Later, a new rider enters town. No one knows him. Everyone watches. In the West, strangers meant trouble. He might be a bounty hunter, a killer, or a lawman in disguise. But no one asks. He ties up his horse and walks into the saloon. The piano stops again. You feel it. Something's about to happen. The showdown. At sundown, it happens. Two men step into the street. People clear out fast. No music, no countdown, no sheriff. Just two men, staring, silent. You duck behind a post. One reaches fast. A shot cracks. One man drops. The other spins his revolver and walks away. No one speaks. It's over. That's justice. You're still alive for now. You've witnessed murder, beatings, fear, and lawlessness. And it's not even dark yet. You're still alive, somehow. But you understand now. This isn't a world of honor or freedom. It's a test of endurance. And unless you toughen up fast, the Wild West will eat you alive. Survival jobs, medical reality, and daily struggles. Finding work isn't optional. You've got no money, no supplies, and no allies. So you ask for work. The answer? Can you ride? Shoot? Shovel manure? That's the reality. You're not applying for a job. You're begging to survive. Work means physical labor from dawn to dusk. And if you can't handle it, you're disposable. Ranch work is brutal. You're hired to help on a cattle ranch. It sounds romantic until you're knee-deep in mud, kicked by an angry steer, and yelled at by a foreman with whiskey breath. Your hands blister. Your boots fill with manure. The work never ends, and there's no such thing as overtime. The pay problem. At the end of the week, your pay is 4 silver coins and half a slab of salted pork. It's barely enough for a bed and a few meals if you don't get robbed on your way to town. There's no contract, no protection. You could work all week and be told, "You're lucky we fed you." No rest for the injured. You cut your hand on barbed wire. It's deep. You wrap it in a dirty rag, but it throbs. You ask for help. The foreman laughs. Walk it off. There are no doctors. No antiseptic. If it gets infected, and it will, you're on your own. People here die from paper cuts. Literally. Visiting the town doctor. Eventually, you drag yourself to the local doctor. He's not a surgeon. He's a barber with forceps. His office smells like whiskey and blood. He cleans your wound with something that burns like fire. No anesthesia, just a stick to bite. Medicine in the West was pain, luck, and prayer. Getting sick is a death sentence. Later, you feel feverish, nausea, cold sweats. You lie on a haystack and try to rest. But rest won't help. It's dysentery or maybe cholera. You're not sure. There are no tests, no lumps, just pain. Most people here don't survive disease. They just fade away quietly. You're starting to understand why. Hunger returns. By now, your food's gone. You search trash piles behind saloons for scraps. You try chewing jerky that's too hard to bite. You hear about a man who ate a rat last week. You don't laugh. You're thinking about it. Starvation isn't poetic. It's slow, humiliating, and all-consuming. Sleeping outdoors again. The boarding houses are full, or too expensive. You curl up in a back alley behind a supply store. The wind is colder tonight. Rats scurry nearby. You stuff hay under your shirt to stay warm. It's not enough. You sleep with one eye open. You might wake up robbed or not wake up at all, talking to yourself. By day 5, you stop talking to people. You mutter to yourself. Your voice is the only familiar sound. Your body hurts, your thoughts spiral. You're afraid you're losing your mind. But there's no therapist in the Wild West. Just whiskey, bullets, and silence. You realize you're changing. You look in a broken mirror and barely recognize yourself. Your skin is burned, your eyes hollow, and your clothes stained with blood and dirt. But worse, your mind is changing. The fear is duller now. You're harder, more watchful. You haven't survived the West, but it's already begun to shape you. Native land, travel risks, and harsh realities. You're on stolen land. It hits you one morning. This land wasn't empty before settlers came. Every trail, river, and mountain belonged to indigenous tribes for generations. The town you're barely surviving in was once part of sacred land. You don't know the full story, but blood was spilled so you could struggle here. Native encounters. You hear stories. Don't go west of the ridge, they say. That's Comanche land. You hear warnings, but also lies. Exaggerated myths to stir fear. Truth is, many tribes were trying to survive too, but conflict was inevitable. If you do cross paths, it might not be violent, but might be your last moment. Travel was a gamble. You think about leaving town, starting over, but traveling across the West isn't safe. It's Russian roulette with weather, animals, and humans. You could die of thirst, or lose your way, or be ambushed. Most people stayed put because the road was often worse than the place they left. Stagecoaches were targets. You managed to hitch a ride on a passing stagecoach. It's cramped, loud, dust invades your lungs. But worse, you're a moving target. Robbers, outlaws. Sometimes passengers don't make it to the next stop. Every bump on the trail might be the last sound you hear before gunfire. Train travel wasn't better. You save up for a train ticket, but the railroad's no luxury. The cars smell of sweat and smoke. Seats are stiff, and coal soot clings to your skin. If you're lucky, you avoid derailments and holdups. If not, you're just another casualty nobody will write about. The weather is a killer. Storms rollen fast. No warning. No doppler radar. Just dark skies, thunder, and dread. Rain turns trails into rivers. Lightning strikes trees near your camp. Wind rips through your tent. And snow, you might not see spring. Out here, nature kills with no fanfare. Wildlife wasn't cute. You hear coyotes at night, maybe wolves, then a rattlesnake near your boot. Out here, animals aren't your friends, they're threats. Bears, scorpions, cougars. One bite, one scratch, and it could be over. And if you're injured, there's no one to help. No emergency line, just silence. Water isn't always water. You find a stream, you drink deep, then your stomach flips. The water was tainted. Maybe animal waste upstream. Maybe worse. There's no clean water guarantee here. You vomit for hours. Dehydration sets in. And out here, bad water kills more quietly than bullets. Loneliness sets in. You're miles from town, days from home, alone. You talk to trees. Write your name in the dirt. You start to forget faces, even your own. Loneliness in the West wasn't just emotional. It was lethal. People died of despair, or they just wandered off into the dust, never found again. You begin to understand. You came to the Wild West expecting freedom, maybe adventure, maybe hope, but now you understand. It was a place where survival was the only goal, where hope was a luxury and safety didn't exist. And you wouldn't have lasted a day, but somehow you're still here. The enduring wild and your place in history. Justice wasn't blind, it was brutal. One night, you witness a man get accused of stealing a horse. No trial, no lawyers, just a rope, a tree, and a crowd. It doesn't matter if he was guilty. Out here, justice is swift and savage. And if you're ever in the wrong place at the wrong time, that noose could be for you. The sheriff is just another man. You'd think the sheriff keeps law and order, but out here, he might be worse than the outlaws. Underpaid, undertrained, and sometimes drunk, he enforces his own version of justice. Sometimes he's brave. Other times, he's bought. In the Wild West, Even the badge is crooked. Gambling with your life. You enter a saloon. Cards. Dice. Whiskey. Laughter. Then someone accuses another of cheating. Guns are drawn. You hit the floor. Every game of poker could be your last. Gambling wasn't just for money. It was for survival, pride, and sometimes blood. Every stranger is a threat. You stop trusting faces. Friendly smiles could hide knives. Even a child might pick your pocket. Everyone's hungry, desperate. People go missing all the time, and no one asks questions. You learn to sleep with your back against the wall and a weapon nearby. The gold rush dream is a nightmare. You hear about gold, always gold. You head for the mountains. You dig. You pan. Days pass. Weeks. Nothing. And the ones who do strike gold, they usually end up dead. Greed turns miners into monsters. Out here, gold is just another lie dressed in hope. Fire is always a threat. You fall asleep in a cabin. In the middle of the night, someone's lantern tips over. Flames race across the floor. There's no fire brigade. No escape plan. In the West, fire doesn't wait. It devours whole towns in hours. It's not a fire comes. It's when the kids grow up fast. You see a child, maybe 10, holding a rifle. Another one sweeping the saloon floors. Kids here don't get childhoods. They get survival drills. By 12, they've seen more death than most soldiers. And if they're lucky, they live to see 20. The women fight too. You meet a woman who runs her own ranch. Scars on her arms. Eyes like steel. The West didn't spare women. It hardened them. They fought for food, defended their homes, raised families in gun smoke and grit. Gender didn't protect anyone here. Only toughness did. The graveyard grows. You pass another graveyard. More crosses than trees. Most markers are nameless. A child, a prospector, a stranger, all buried under the same sky. The West didn't care who you were. If you stayed long enough, you ended up here, unless the vultures got to you first. Some stayed. Most didn't. You ask around. Most people came for something: land, gold, freedom. Most left broken or vanished. Some stayed, carved lives from misery, and called it home. But for most, the Wild West was just a scar in their story. You wonder what it will be in yours. You become one of them. You catch a reflection in the saloon mirror. You're one of them now. Dirty, scarred, suspicious, tougher maybe, but not stronger. Just different. You didn't survive the West. It swallowed you, changed you, and you realize the West doesn't kill everyone. Just the ones who stay too soft. If you live a year, you were lucky. A year passes. You're not sure how. You didn't get rich. You didn't get famous. But you're alive. That alone makes you legendary. In a place where nature, people, and fate tried to erase you, you made it. Barely. But that's the best anyone could hope for. The West doesn't forget. You leave town one final time. People nod at you now. You have stories. Scars. Your name is whispered in passing. You weren't famous, but you were real. That's what matters. In the Wild West, the land forgets nothing. It remembers pain, blood, grit, and you left your mark. You wouldn't have survived, but you tried. The Wild West wasn't made for most people. It was ruthless, raw, and unforgiving. You weren't ready, but you tried, and that mattered. Because even if you wouldn't have survived a day back then, you understand something now. Survival was never guaranteed. Only the struggle was. Final words and call to action. If you ever thought life today was tough, imagine surviving the Wild West. No phones, no help, no merci, just you and the land. So next time you romanticize the past, ask yourself, would you have made it a day out here? Maybe not, but learning about it might just make you stronger.